So now we request Mr. Priyank Shah to take the stage over for further discussions. Over to you, sir.
A very good morning and a warm welcome to all of our delegates and my fellow members to first BIMSTEC Youth Summit. I am Priyank Shah, founder of Rene Cosmetics. We are a FMCG company where we deal into cosmetics for women. I've been into this space for more than a decade now. Previous to this, I founded a brand called Beardo, which was into men's grooming, and I sold it to a MNC called Marico. So my point being that I've been into this industry for quite some time. I've been into consumer space. I've been understanding how the overall consumer market for India works. Uh, and how we understand the e-commerce part of it, wherein e-commerce and internet is growing very rapidly. With a very rapid growth of internet users globally, and from the era shift from how one person in the society with a computer or smartphone was considered a celebrity, and now today every other person have started ordering even smallest of the item online. Even kids don't sleep without their uh, you know without their rhyme on YouTube's. So just trying to make this point very clear that how important it has become to be digitally safeguarded in all means. So the point being is, with the increasing count in people having smartphones and their usages, also artificial intelligence and machine learning have become an integral part. It's very important to talk on cybersecurity and how new businesses and old can protect themselves and their customers from all possible threats. So we have a great set of panelists, who would have their diversified view on safeguarding interest, and most of them have also closely worked with government on data safety. So I would like to introduce all of them personally. We have Atul Patidar, uh, who is a maker, innovator, and technophile with expertise in entrepreneurship and engineering. As founder and CEO of Farmkart, he has developed over 15 products for Fortune 500 companies and successfully founded 4 startups. His focus is on end-to-end product development, digital strategy, and innovation, transforming ideas into market-ready solution. He has been also recognized with few awards in terms of innovation with impact recognition by Prime Minister of India on Man Ki Baat 2020, top 50 global innovative startup CEOs, and Innovator of the Year, Idea Couture 2014-2015. So these are the set of my panelists. I would like to have a huge round of applause for all of them before we begin. So, like we all understand, it is about how new and old businesses needs to understand the importance of data and the data safety. I'd like to have my first questions for both of our founders, Utpal and Atul. We've all seen in this last 10 years from 1.5 billion internet user to 5.5 billion users. It's been a rapid growth. And with this rapid growth, security concerns have intensified. In your business, how critical is cybersecurity, and what measures are you taking to manage risk? I would like to have both, if you can also understand your purview on what do you think as at a founder's lens, what should be taken care of?
Thank you. Thank you, Priyank. Is it audible? Okay, so I'm going to talk about, so as Priyank was mentioning, I did 4 startups, and what I've seen the importance of data and data security across all these 4 startups. So one of my first startup was a company called BrainComp. So it used to monitor patients suffering from epilepsy and Parkinson. So the whole idea here is patients who are suffering from mental disorders can be cured without the need of medication. So trying to understand which neurons are being dysfunctional and provide a certain set of current to those or voltage to those neurons so that they can get activated. So that startup later on got acquired, and we thought this product is going to get launched in the market because we had the FDA approval as well. But then what happened was the company that acquired actually started understanding brainwaves through the technology that we have developed. And it actually started collecting that data in terms of how the brain waves changes when you think about something. So for example, you want to switch off that light and you're thinking hard, like intense about that lights, for example, is bothering me. And then they started analyzing the brain waves, and then they implemented that in IoT. So now what happened here was, what you are thinking, it's not just about your personal information, it's also about what you are thinking can also be stolen. So now I'm talking about a bit futuristic, but this startup was founded in 2014 with three of my co-founders, and it got acquired in 2016 with FDA approvals, and everything was in place, and we thought it was just for, treatment of medical disorders. And from there, I moved on to IoT and data science. How do we bring that together? Because IoT, if you guys remember 10 years back, everyone would be like, this is the next big thing. But then it did not come through that in those time. It took longer than that. And one of the major reason was also the standardization of the communication protocols. So all these big companies like Intel, Samsung, Apple, Google, they all came together, formed a forum, and they talked about how can we standardize all these data transmission protocols. But then what happened is that forum failed, and that impacted huge in terms of IoT implementation. And the reason was, how do we secure data? If it is going to come from all these different companies, all this personal data is being shared across the single protocol, then how do we secure? And they did not have that solution. So they had to delay that project, and until now, they could not implement that. So we'll talk more in the subsequent questions. But the major question here is how important data has become today and its security. So if you remember the frameworks like people, process, technology, and now it's data. And why? Because it has become a strategic asset for all the companies. So that's why it has become very critical for all the startups, all the companies to be proactive about their cybersecurity. So I'm going to pass it on back to Priyank. Thank you.
I think that was really intensive. We understood that what is the future when it comes to technology. We'll come back on that. Yashraj, I have a question, two set of questions for you. Securing gaps in data infrastructure can be a tough balancing act. Again, coming to Utpal and Atul, since we're talking about industry, you all come from diverse sectors. Do you think security risks are higher in certain industry and lower in other? What's your perspective on which sector face the greatest threats and why?
So I'd like to talk about healthcare sector, because apart from finance, I think healthcare is also very important, especially because there is a lot of personal data there. And recent examples we can talk about, I don't know if you guys know that UHG had a huge data leak and it became one of the biggest news few months back. So almost 100 million members' data was leaked. And now it's very important to understand how this data can be used as well, right? So once we have the information at that level, they can open, the finance account, like bank accounts on your name. They can even reclaim the accounts that you already have. Not only that, the major thing that can happen is blackmailing when they have your sensitive information about your health. And this has become very much crucial. So another interesting aspect of that was, so it was a ransom of around 22 million. But in response, UHG had to spend $3 billion, right, to figure this out and make sure this thing doesn't happen the next time. So think about the point what Punit has mentioned, prevention is better than cure. It might have taken few tens of millions, but because this breach happened, now it cost them $3 billion. So that's at a corporation level. But when I talk about at a smaller scale, so one of my startups, Farmkart, which is in agri-tech sector, last few years, we have been seeing interesting things that are happening. It's like there are different hackers or, attackers who are trying to hack customer data. And you could see that they're trying to breach some of the security firewalls. So one of the hackers, what they did was they tried stealing, customer data and try sending them OTPs just to see if customer may respond back with that information or click on the verification. And as soon as you click on that link, that information is already passed on. And then it's more like you have performed that activity. And not only that, if you see, there is a lot of attacks, cyber attacks that are happening in a very smooth way. And when I say smooth way, which might even become the norm in the future, and we might have to come up with data regulations. Simple things are like you are applying passports or you are applying some government ID cards or other ID cards through the agents. Imagine the amount of data they have and how much they can do with it. Right now it's unstructured, but eventually this can be a big problem. And the reason I say that, if you look at the West, people trying to interact with you for 15 minutes or 30 minutes just for their research purpose cost them almost $200. And here in our countries, we give that data for free basically. So you can imagine the amount of the value of data that you have today just about where you live, maybe one or two preferences, and already it's $200 just for that 4 or 5 data points that you have provided. So think about all the information that, whether it's social media profiles or all your identities or bank accounts or healthcare accounts has. And that's why I keep saying it's also one of the major aspect is the personal data that is becoming more and more paramount in terms of how the cyber attacks can actually be, informed or how they can trick people. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sunam from Bhutan. I run a business myself in Bhutan. I'm a founder of e-commerce as well as a retail and distribution business in Bhutan. Just wanted to ask one question. You talked about cybersecurity. I wanted to talk about, get your opinions on in the areas of trademark and cybersecurity. Like, is there something that you guys thought through in terms of trademark infringement and how can cybersecurity sort of, because I see a lot of you are in the space of technology, right? And also, second thing would be, how can we leverage new emerging technologies for trademark protection? Because this is something that I personally face in my business where we have a lot of trademark infringements, especially from the West. So just wanted to get your feedback.
Just want to add one more thing to that is basically some of the companies, what I have seen doing today is they filed for trademark early enough. And when I say early, is they are still in the process of building that trademark, but they already filed it, right? Assuming that we will be able to, complete or build that technology. And that has happened a lot, especially if you look at companies like Apple and Samsung. And if you start reading the trademarks, what they have filed, you'll be surprised, right? They talk about, flexible screens long way before it was even launched. Even Apple has filed for it and they haven't even launched that yet. And they filed 5 or 7 years back, right? So think about how proactive they are in terms of, protecting their data related to the trademark. And apart from that, I think I do not have much to add other than the firewall protection, how strong it needs to be and how much, I would say, conscious you should be about.
Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. We'd like to sum up this session for now. Would like to applaud all of my fellow panelists. Thank you. It was an insightful session. You can reach out to them directly on one-on-one. You can take numbers from the committee. You can understand what's been going around in the space, in the domain, from all the perspective. We have great dynamic people with us. So thanks a lot for allowing us and hosting us and letting our ideas putting on the table. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Priyank, for moderating the session so well. And thank you, all the esteemed panelists. You can always step forward for a group photograph. Can we extend a thank you? Thank you.